Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we cover all the major news that you need to know about. And I think we do a pretty damn good job of it. We're a conservative outlet. We have a bias, but most of our audience is, in fact, independent. So welcome. Glad you guys are joining us to get your daily dose of the news and what the heck's going on out there in the world, because we got quite a bit of stuff for you. And let's just jump right into it, because we have the government shutdown finally nearing an end. I know. You're like, really? Like, what's I thought it was? I was told it was the end of the world, Brad. I started packing up my stuff. I got rid of the kids. I thought everything was done. I thought this was a done deal. I didn't think anything of it. Well, no, we do have a government shutdown allegedly ending. And I'll get up the chat for all of you guys. There you go. So you can see yourselves. So you can see me and see yourself. Well, after a breakthrough procedural vote in the Senate, lawmakers moved quickly and they passed a clean, continuing resolution to fund the government through January 30th. Wow. Wow. They got their stuff together for like 2.5 more months, folks. Could you believe it? No hidden spending hikes, no policy add-ons, no backdoor giveaways, just a simple, clean extension. And now the bill heads back to the House, where Speaker Mike Johnson has called members back in to vote. And Johnson says the votes are there. And President Trump has publicly backed the deal. And that part matters, because let's be honest, when Trump signals the direction, Republicans unify. Now, this progress was welcomed by federal workers who were about to miss another paycheck, air travelers who were staring down massive holiday delays, investors who hate uncertainty, and this also is the markers instantly reacted. Markers, Jesus. Brad, take a swig of coffee. It's early, folks. I didn't sleep well at all. And it's really gross. I bit my cheek in my sleep. So my tooth, this is going to sound really gross to you. My tooth, my canine, is like going into it and it's hooking into it every time I talk. You know, basically I have a flap of skin that's dangling like this, and my canine is like hooking under it every time I talk. You're welcome. Too much information. The markets instantly reacted. The NASDAQ jumped 2%. The Dow and S&P closed just off record highs. In other words, basically what's happening right now is stability has returned the moment Democrats stop stonewalling and Democrats stop acting like idiots. But not everyone on the left is happy. I know. They can't get their cake and eat it too. Democrats are now eating their own. Because this deal does not include the one thing Democrats spent 40 days demanding. It's still mind-blowing to me that they spent 40 days crying. I guess it's not that mind-blowing anymore, is it? Federal subsidies to Obamacare plans. Subsidies that flow disproportionately to illegal immigrants in sanctuary states. And they didn't get it. They lost. And now the backlash begins. Democrat Representative Ro Khanna took to social media and fired a direct shot at Chuck Schumer. Quote, Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced, end quote. Really? That's not a small crack, by the way. That's a public leadership crisis unfolding in real time, and this time it ain't our party. Now, Khanna did not hold back. She continued by saying, quote, if you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? It's so stupid. They always try to be eloquent. You know what I mean? They always try to be like, oh, you know, like that one phrase that's going to last forever that they're going to put in the history books. Like, stop trying so hard. What will you fight for? It's also kind of like that psycho ex that we've all dated. You know what I mean? That just says stupid stuff like that. If you're not going to listen to me, who will you listen to? It's just like, shut up. It's freaking 5 a.m. in the morning. No one wants to hear your crap. Not even yourself. Shut up. Hopefully you're all having a good time here. I'm having a good time. What that basically means is Schumer picked the battle, lost it, and now his own party is furious. Meanwhile, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is trying to patch bullet holes with bumper stickers. He defended Schumer, saying, quote, Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats have waged a valiant fight. Now, you're like, Brad, that's not what Hakeem Jeffries sounds like. And I would say, touche. Lakita. Sorry. I mean, he is black, but Lakita. What's up, Lakita? I got way too in the character for that one. Hold on a second, Brad. Dial that back just a little bit, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Where were we here? Lakita. Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats have waged a war and a vigilant fight. I tell you what, I'm Mike Tyson on eat your children. That's what Hakeem Jeffries sounds like, if you didn't know. And that is a very good impression. I don't care what you guys say. First of all, I haven't got the mouth warmed up. That's what she said. Second of all, it's, it's 6:11 in the morning. Simmer down, all right? They forced the government to shut down. They threatened air travel chaos. They stalled paychecks and set markets into uncertainty, all to protect insurance company subsidies and illegal immigrant health care access. And they lost. That's not valiant. That's political suicide. And these two idiots are too dumb to see it. This shutdown ended because public opinion has turned. Democrats were seen as the ones holding the country hostage, not Republicans. When people were told the truth, Democrats were willing to delay paychecks and disrupt travel to defend healthcare subsidies for illegal immigrants. And it wasn't just told the truth. They were given evidence and proof by outlets like ours and others on X, on their podcast, showing that this was exactly what it was for. We showed you the receipts. We showed you the actual coding for it. And they finally said enough. And here's the big story of it all. Trump stayed strategically disciplined. Mike Johnson held the line, and shout out to Mike, because Trump actually told Republicans to not hold the line anymore and to get the government back open. And Republicans unified hard, and they hardened instead of cracked. And when the left couldn't break the wall, they broke each other. Suckers. A shutdown that began as a political gamble has ended as a Democrat leadership crisis. And that tells us everything we need to know heading into 2026, because these people are idiots. I know. That's nothing new. Brad, you keep repeating yourself. Well, so do they. They act like idiots. What can I tell you? All right, well, we got JPMorgan Chase probed over Operation Arctic Frost. I still can't believe this is not getting more headlines. I did a coverage. We did a podcast on Operation Arctic Frost like 2 weeks ago. And then we did a TikTok video that didn't do so well, which is kind of rare that our videos on TikTok don't do well. But it happens. You can't complain. Heck, at least some people are looking at it. Well, we got an update here for you. Believe it or not, when you give an update, that is news. Yes, news is updates. So this is a old story, but it is a new update. The Arctic Frost scandal has just widened big time. And now one of the largest banks in the world has been pulled into the investigation. Florida Attorney General has officially notified JPMorgan Chase that the state is launching a probe into the bank's potential role in the Biden-era Arctic Frost operation. The same operation that we know targeted hundreds of Trump allies, conservative donors, Republican lawmakers, media outlets and organizations, and grassroots groups. This is the scandal the media hoped would disappear, but it looks like it ain't going anywhere. You have the Attorney General sending the notification based on whistleblower evidence revealed by the Senate Judiciary Committee, evidence showing that Jack Smith's Arctic Frost probe used sweeping subpoenas to pull phone records, email records, donor information, financial transactions, private bank data on people whose only crime, in air quotes for those on audio, was supporting Donald Trump. Now here's where JPMorgan comes in. The Attorney General said the bank appears to have shared sensitive financial information tied to Trump and his associates, including Trump media, and that the bank was asking unusual, unrelated financial questions during the exact period when the government was trying to criminalize support for Trump. He told the Daily Wire, quote, "They were asking questions that had nothing to do with normal business, and it raised eyebrows," end quote. JPMorgan may have been pressured or willingly assisted in a political investigation designed to criminalize dissent. When asked for comment, JPMorgan didn't deny the relationship. They said they just, quote, followed the law when responding to, quote, government subpoenas. Okay, but isn't that the entire point? Were those government subpoenas lawful? Or were they politically weaponized fishing expeditions targeting American citizens based on ideology? I mean, that's exactly what Florida is investigating. Hello. And it does not stop with the bank, because at the center of this scandal is Judge James Boasberg, the chief judge of the district court over there in D.C., the man who personally signed off on the warrants that allowed the FBI to obtain Republican lawmakers' phone records under gag orders in complete secrecy, mind you. Senator Eric Schmidt said it is outright, quote, what he did to President Trump and to Senator Cruz is absolutely worthy of impeachment, end quote. And then he continued saying there has to be accountability. And he's right, because there's never accountability. There's never anybody arrested or thrown in jail or losing their job or whatever. The Constitution's speech and debate clause protects lawmakers from being targeted by the executive branch for their political work. That protection exists specifically to prevent government power from being weaponized to silence opposition. Yet, under Operation Arctic Frost, mind you, senators were surveilled, conservative nonprofits were subpoenaed, Trump media operations were scrutinized, donor lists were accessed, and private citizens were investigated for political support. That is literally the definition of political prosecution. This is not about justice. It wasn't about oversight. It was about criminalizing political affiliation. And now that the shutdown is ending and Congress is about to resume normal business, expect this scandal to move front and center, because we are now looking at possible illegal surveillance, possible violations of constitutional protections, possible financial cooperation between banks and government investigations and investigators, and potentially impeachment level misconduct by a sitting federal judge. So this isn't just a scandal. This is the most serious abuse of power allegation since Watergate, man. Except here, the target wasn't one political enemy. It was the entire political movement, man. And nobody responsible has faced consequences yet. Because now the investigation tables have turned and Florida just has lit the fuse. So a lot of news here still to cover, folks. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We do this each and every morning here on the Bald Brad channel, where we break down the news and everything you need to know about. It is Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. Appreciate all those men and women. If you're just joining us again, the shutdown has ended and people are calling for new leadership, which is always kind of fun, seeing Chuck Schumer be dragged through the coals by his own people. And the View here is back in the news, and we got a couple clips for you on this as well. I'm always hesitant to show the clips because we always get flagged by ABC. Disney always comes after us for the copyright strike. So the View is at it again. Let me make sure I get this fully in frame for all of you. The View is at it again. And when I say at it again, I mean completely rewriting reality in real time with zero shame and zero understanding of basic civics. It's I'm laughing because I was so giddy to be able to show you guys this clip. On Monday, their broadcast, Sunny Hostin, the resident legal analyst, who somehow never analyzes anything legally, took her segment to, quote, blame Republicans for government shutdown, even though the shutdown happened for one very simple reason. Democrats refused to vote for the continuing resolution. Plain and simple. Republicans passed a clean bill, baby. No poison pills, no cuts, no new policy. They just kept the lights on. Democrats said no because they wanted billions in new subsidies, including taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. And that's the part Sunny kind of just conveniently left out. But she didn't stop at bending the truth. She decided to go full theater shenanigans. She said, quote, this is a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. Oh, okay. Let's see if we have that clip here.
Look, let's be clear. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. The Republicans run the White House. The Republicans run the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. This was a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. This was a choice by the Republicans to gut the federal government and federal employment. Democrats had nothing to do with it. I want an opposition party. I think the Democrats caved. I think the Democrats let down the American people. And like you, Whoopi, I have absolutely no faith that the Republican Party will come to the negotiating table in good faith. You know, you do something like this, shame on you the first time. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. We the working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
Yeah. We'll get to Whoopi in one moment here. So, again, you heard it from the horse's mouth. This was a choice about Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. No, it wasn't. SNAP only gets delayed if the government shutdown continues. And the only reason the shutdown continue is because Democrats refuse to fund the government without getting a wish list of progressive spending, Sonny. And then she said, I don't know if you guys caught this one. This one was great. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. Again, wrong, Sonny. Republicans passed a clean CR, meaning same spending levels. Nothing changes. Democrats walked away because it didn't include billions in new Obamacare subsidies, the Affordable Care Act. And as I keep saying, turns out it's not so affordable, is it? And then she hits the finale. She does the triple axel. Republicans control the House. Republicans control the Senate. Republicans control the White House. And Republicans control the Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunny Hostin appears to have discovered a new branch of government. In Sunny's world, because the Supreme Court exists and sometimes rules in the ways she dislikes, that means Republicans run it. This is what I mean when I say the modern left isn't debating policy, you guys. They're debating their own fan fiction, man. And it is wild to watch. Even Whoopi Goldberg, who is wrong basically about everything, accidentally told more truth in this segment. She admitted, I know, everybody paused for a moment. It's crazy. It's the second coming, I guess. She admitted Democrats tried to use the shutdown as leverage, and it backfired.
So, I mean, you know, 50-50 chance of negotiating health care subsidies. I just remember all of the people who are coming in and hoping that people would vote them in and say, yes, you can be this person, or you can be a judge, or you can be this. And they all said, no, we're not going to mess with anything. No, we're going to leave everything as it was. I have no faith that they're going to negotiate and come back to the table. And I'm glad that folks, maybe, because again, we have seen, you say this is going to happen and then it doesn't happen.
Right.
So surprise me and show me that this is really, that people are going to get their money, that people are going to get the money that they are entitled to. It's not a gift.
Right.
They're entitled to this money during when there's a shutdown. You're entitled to that money.
Yeah.
So
There's
this
a
idea
contingency fund for
that they're giving in and giving this as a gift, it's not a gift. No. I don't understand. So is he right that Americans wanted Democrats to keep fighting? This would, and people will get rehired, supposedly, federal workers, and reinstate SNAP benefits, but a 50-50 chance of extending the subsidies, I don't believe it.
Freaking whoopee. She tactfully admits the shutdown the government was a power play to pressure Republicans, and she thinks it's failed. So I know, very rare scenario, which she tells the truth. The shutdown is ending because 8 Senate Democrats broke ranks, mind you, not because Republicans caved, because Democrats did. And what Sony Hostin say about all that? Well, what she did was she turns on her own side and says Chuck Schumer needs to be replaced. You saw her say it. So let me explain what just happened. The Democrats tried to hold the country hostage to force funding for illegal immigrant health care. The American people did not buy it. And moderate Senate Democrats, the ones who have to go home and actually face voters, folded because they knew they'd be annihilated politically. So yeah, Sonny is mad, not because she cares about SNAP, not because she cares about health care, but because the Democratic Party, their strategist class, just learned they don't control the public anymore. And that terrifies them because if voters start realizing that the border can be secured by executive action, the economy improves when government gets out of the way, and shutdowns end when Democrats stop playing games, then the entire narrative of the left collapses. And Sonny is not upset about policy. She's upset about power. And that's a constant theme here. And she knows they just lost some of it. And now she's freaking out. And you got to love their legal analyst makes stuff up and then doesn't want to play in reality, which is always hilarious in my opinion. Well, something that broke out yesterday was this clash between Antifa and Turning Point USA members at an event honoring slain founder Charlie Kirk. Pretty disgusting stuff here by Antifa. Anti-fascist protesters, including Antifa members, clashed violently with Turning Point USA attendees outside UC Berkeley, the hall there, on Monday night during an event honoring founder Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated 2 months earlier in Utah. Protesters hurled bottles, lit flares, and engaged in brawls. We'll show you some clips here, leading to at least 4 arrests, while police in riot gear separated the crowds. The event, the final stop of Turning Point USA's campus tour, proceeded inside with over 1,000 conservative students and speakers Rob Schneider and Frank Turret. So here's a little bit of what these clips look like. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys here. There we go. We got some more stuff here for you. Here's a little bit of the outside look. UC Berkeley. This is from Andy No, who's actually infiltrated Antifa and has written a book on it called Unmasked, which is a highly recommended book. Very, very great book about his time inside Antifa. He, like I said, infiltrated it. And then he was also violently attacked, almost killed by Antifa as well. So a far left extremist stole a conservative man's necklace and then punched him repeatedly in the face when he tried to take it back outside the Turning Point USA event. The victim was bloodied and the leftists racially mocked him for being white. Pretty insane. So you have it right here. A guy comes up. Bunch of animals. You gotta love this cop here. Hold on a second. Do you guys see this cop? Or am I in the way? Let's see if I can get him for you. Right there. Hold on a second. Let me get out of the way. You see this guy? Hey, bud. Get off the bike. There's a fucking fight happening. Get off the bike. Jeez, dude. Still on the bike. Oh, make sure you park it. Okay. All right. Well, at least he blockaded somebody, I suppose. So there's that for you. And then more break-ins from Nick Sorter, who was also violently attacked by Antifa. Bunch of idiots. So that guy that got punched in the face got his necklace stolen. What happened, white boy? Hey, white boy, what the bleep happened? Another angle of it.
Back home! Nazis go 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 home! Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Chinga la migra! 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 Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Fuck you, fascists! Chinga la migra! Chinga la migra! Chinga.
Goes on for a while, but this is the one where he was attacked.
Break it up! Break it up!
Yeah, he's bleeding pretty good. I gotta be careful because I'll get flagged on YouTube. But I mean, it could be a really small cut in the head, right? The thing just leaks, man. We also have this. This is them. You know, these people, remember, they're all good people wearing the same scarf that Hamas wears. It says, F your dead homie. A group of anti-Turning Point USA protesters are mocking Charlie Kirk's death in front of attendees who are waiting in line to get into tonight's event at UC Berkeley.
Homie, fuck your dead 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 homie. No ice, no KKK, no black.
Just want you to pause and see what these people look like. Do you know what I mean? They're not well kept. Their clothes don't fit properly. Their hair's not clean. This starts with some serious mental issues. Do you know what I mean? And probably lack of a stable family. Probably did not have a dad or mom in the house, one or the other. Maybe abused, for all I know. And what a waste of a life, man. Really. So they're all excited inside, and outside they're all raging. Here's Savannah Hernandez talking about what's taking place on the ground, doing the Lord's work. Appreciate Sav.
Berkeley at the TPUSA Out of the Bay protest. Now, it is about 7 p.m. at this point, but this has been going on since 4:30, and my friends, it has been absolute chaos. Now, at the beginning of the night, you quickly had two people that were arrested. One person was a Trump supporter, another was an Antifa member, and as the Trump supporter was getting arrested, he stated that the Antifa member came and tried to steal his stuff, resulting in the altercation. Now, that happened fairly quickly at the beginning of the protest, and everything just evolved since then. Now, this is actually the entrance to the TPUSA event tonight, and the attendee line actually stretched out this way, and it kind of stretched into this area so people could get into this conference center behind me. Now, what ended up happening is this huge swarm of protesters, many of which are trans members, some of them are furries, and of course, many Antifa members and Antifa-aligned groups, they all ended up swarming those attendees. Now, one of the Antifa members actually lit off a flare, smoke started going everywhere, and then another protester drove past in his vehicle. It started backfiring multiple times. It kind of sounded like gunshots. I could see the visible fear in many of the attendees' eyes, and they all started swarming into this area. Now, please quickly let them pass these barriers to, essentially protect them and help with their safety, because the mob then quickly started descending on these barriers. Now, they have multiple times tried to break this area down and break these barriers down, and they have been chanting all night, calling attendees of this event fascists, Nazis, anti-Semites. They've been calling them every single name in the book while simultaneously saying that Nazis need to be killed. Now, they have also been mocking the death of Charlie Kirk, and I have seen several signs tonight glorifying and celebrating Charlie's death. So that is the protest in attendance tonight. Those are the people inside. You even had people chanting, F your homie is dead, referring to Charlie Kirk. So that's an idea of how chaotic it has been out here at UC Davis. The next challenge is going to be how attendees now leave this event, as this entrance is completely blocked with very aggressive protesters.
So shout out to Sav for doing actual reporting when you have these mega media outlets not wanting to do it themselves. Well, in other news here, we have Mamdani back in the news. He's going to be in the news for quite some time, and we'll make sure that we continue to cover him and his kind of progress, if that's what you want to call it, over there in New York City. Because the mask is off in New York City. If you thought electing a self-described socialist mayor was the story, no. The story is who he just hired to run City Hall. Zohran Mamdani, the Muslim socialist who ran on defund the police, free everything, and globalize the intifada, has now appointed his top aide, Ellie Church. Now you might be wondering, who is Ellie Church? Does she own a church? Is she Christian? Well, she is the chief architect behind Mamdani's plan to, get this, replace NYPD officers with social workers on 911 calls. Yes. Let me say this plainly, because this is crazy. When you call 911 because someone is threatening you, or your business is being robbed, or a mentally unstable man is screaming with a knife in the subway, instead of a cop with training, a badge and a firearm, the Mamdani administration wants to send a social worker with a clipboard. Please understand, I am as serious as a heart attack, man. This is not parody. It sounds like it, I know, on audio. This is their official policy. It's called the, quote, Department of Community Safety, end quote. And get this, it comes with a $1.1 billion price tag, man. Meanwhile, NYPD precincts are already understaffed. Response times are up, and violent crime, which had finally begun to stabilize under Mayor Adams, is about to skyrocket, man. And it's about to be a rocket ship into chaos territory, dude. So let's talk about her, because this matters actually a lot. She, meaning Ellie, Bisgard Church is her full name, is a Columbia University and Swarthmore educated activist, a leader inside the Democratic Socialist of America, the same group that openly supports defunding police, dismantling capitalism, and ending Zionism, and the person who scheduled weekly strategy meetings with the NYCDSA to ensure the socialist movement controlled the campaign and now the city. She literally said that she feels, quote, deep shame, end quote, that people sleep on concrete, and believes the solution isn't mental health facilities, job programs, or enforcing the law. No. The solution, in her words, is a new political system. It's what needs to be uprooted. This is why I keep saying this election wasn't just a mayoral race. It was an ideological takeover, man. And you can't say I didn't say it. I wrote literally an article, a blog, on not just the UK of seeing how that whole thing was disrupting and dismantling, but also New York City. I have a piece on my blog about Mamdani, a couple pieces, I think. New York is going to fall. I wanted him to get voted in because I wanted to watch it happen. That's why. I mean, I don't plan on living in New York ever. I don't even plan on visiting New York. I've been there before. Don't plan on going back. Place was filthy, dude. It smelled weird. The ground was disgusting. It was like going up to LA. I have no desire to ever to go up to Los Angeles because it smells terrible. It smells like pee and poop. There's homeless everywhere. There's crime everywhere. It's not clean. It's god awful. It looks like Gotham City. So let's be clear here. The social worker 911 response model has already been tried, by the way. It's not the first time. You might have said that, Brad, this sounds familiar. So it's not a theory. In practice, they've done this. Now, they don't do it in conservative areas because we are, or I guess I should say Republican areas. There's a difference. Well, because we're a lot smarter and have our heads on straight. We might not be book smart, but boy, oh boy, are we street smart. In Portland, they did this. Crime spiked and responders quit after being threatened. I know, shock. In Denver, shootings increased and police had to be called anyway. I know, shocker. In San Francisco, the program collapsed because workers refused to go into dangerous neighborhoods. Oh, what another shock. This idea fails everywhere it's been implemented, just like socialism. But now New York, the largest city in America, is going to try it at full scale. Now, why? Because this isn't about safety. That's why. It's about replacing the police with political commissioners and commissaries who can control speech, ideology, and behavior. Oh, and remember, Mamdani already had to apologize for anti-police, pro-Hamas rhetoric during the campaign. Now the person guiding him is the same strategist who built the defund the police NYPD 2.0 plan. So the dude lied about it. Basically, it was a BS apology, and we all saw through it. Even retired NYPD brass are warning, quote, the police won't stand for this, end quote. Let me translate this for you. NYPD is already short thousands of officers. So you're going to see more of resignations, early retirement, transfers to the suburbs, and the collapse of proactive policing. So New York voters wanted change. Oh, they're about to get it, man. Good and hard. And when the city is shocked, and they're going to be shocked, the crime goes up, store closures accelerate, tourism dries up, and taxpayers flee, the left will blame inequality. The left will blame what? Capitalism. The left will blame the rich. But we all know the truth, man. New York didn't elect a mayor. They elected an ideology. And that ideology destroys every city it touches in every country. So just the newest development over there in New York City. And we are watching it burn to the ground in real time. And you got to let it burn, man. You got to let it burn. Burn, baby, burn. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It does help support the show. We always appreciate your help and support when doing the show as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out Rumble, folks. If you haven't supported Rumble, make sure you do so. And also, we want to give a shout out to this sponsor right here called Blackout Coffee, folks. You all know I don't start my day without two things: standing for what I believe in and a strong cup of coffee that does the same. That's why I drink Blackout Coffee. Brad, like, you made a switch? You're damn right I did. 100% American company that unapologetically is patriotic. Pro Second Amendment, man, and anti-woke. Talk about not just believing in what we preach here on the show, but now you're drinking it too, baby. They don't just roast incredible coffee, you guys. They stand for the very values this country was built on: God, family, and freedom. And you know I don't send you to that woke, disgusting coffee. This is American coffee, baby. It's going to give you this type of beard right here. Every bag is roasted right there in Florida and shipped straight to your door. No corporate garbage, no virtue signaling, just real coffee, man, for real Americans. And that's why they're here supporting the show. If you're like me and need to hit the ground running because we wake up at like 4:30 in the morning to do this show, try their Morning Reaper, dude. Their medium roast, chef's kiss, which I love. It's bold, smooth, and kicks like a mule, baby. Or if you're into something a little darker, like the Founding Fathers dark, grab their 1776 blend, man. You guys are really gonna like that one as well. It's rich, fearless, and roasted to perfection. Support a company that actually gives a damn about this country, which is nice to see. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/rumble. Again, that's blackoutcoffee.com/rumble, and use code RUMBLE for 20% off your first order. Yes, you heard that correctly. 20 off your first order. Blackout Coffee. Wake up, stand up, never back down. Appreciate them. Again, that's blackoutcoffee.com/rumble. Use code RUMBLE for 20% off. You also have the QR code on the screen right here for you. Make sure you check that out. Man, look, we're a morning show. If you're not buying the coffee that's supporting American values, what are you doing? And yes, I just took a swig of coffee and it was freaking delicious. It's coating the tongue, wetting the palate, making a difference. All righty, let's see what we have here in the news. Donald Trump is talking about this Supreme Court case here, and it is a big deal.
With a shield level annuity from Bright House Financial.
Hold on a second, it's playing an advertisement through my headphones. Excuse me. We run the show single-handedly, folks. Nobody here runs the show other than me. We have moderators that contribute, which is always greatly appreciated. They volunteer their time, folks. They're here, and when they're here, they're able to moderate. They're not forced to be here. They're just here because they enjoy the show. Well, one of the most consequential Supreme Court cases of the decades is now in motion. And President Trump is sounding the alarm, and he's not doing it quietly. The man is taking to social media left and right about this whole thing. And this case revolves around Trump's Emergency Tariff Authority, specifically his use of International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the IEEPA, to impose tariffs without Congress needing to sign off every 5 minutes, like we're running government by committee here. The left says Trump's overstepped this whole thing. Well, Trump says he has acted exactly within the powers of the presidency to protect American workers and national security. And now the Supreme Court is reviewing it. So we're going to get an answer here. Trump issued a warning on Truth Social saying the court has, quote, the wrong numbers, end quote, being circulated internally, and that a ruling against him could create a $3 trillion economic unwind, rather. Not a million, not billion, trillion, in his words, quote, this would be an insurmountable national security event devastating the future of our country, end quote. And he's not exaggerating that, actually. So if we break this down, since 2024, the U.S. has collected over $213 billion in tariff revenue. And then in August and September, tariffs brought in over $31 billion each, record numbers. So these tariffs have helped rebuild American manufacturing. They diversify supply chains away from China, which is always helpful. And yes, they lower the federal deficit. Even the Congressional Budget Office not exactly a MAGA think tank, by the way, admitted Trump's tariffs will reduce the federal deficit by around $2.8 trillion over the next decade. Now, the left and their media friends frame tariffs as taxes on consumers. Now, there is some truth to that, but it's also kind of a cutesy way of putting it. They forget that unrestricted free trade with hostile nations hollowed out U.S. manufacturing base for like 30 years. They forget the Rust Belt did not collapse because of American workers. It collapsed because politicians sold them out in exchange for cheap Chinese steel, cheap Chinese electronics, and Wall Street profit sheets. Chinese couldn't build steel ever. The greatest steel they ever had was their pot and cooking pans during Mao's revolution, and had to smelt it for steel then. That's the same steel we're probably getting. This is stuff from Mao's. They're a bunch of utensils from their kitchen. Trump changed that. Trump said if you want access to the American consumer, the best market in the world, you pay a fair price. And it worked. Factories reopened, domestic production climbed, China's leverage weakened, which is why they wanted to come to the table for a trade deal. And this is why the left hates tariffs. Not because of the economics, but because tariffs make America independent, makes America great again. And they hate America. The left hate this country. Why they choose to live here? No idea. And if America is independent, globalists lose power. So the real conflict is this. This Supreme Court case isn't about tariffs. It's about whether the president of the United States has the authority to defend the American economy without begging foreign bankers for permission. The challengers are arguing tariffs are taxes. Only Congress can levy taxes, and therefore Trump's use of the IEEPA was unlawful. That's what they're saying. That's their case. It sounds pretty logical until you remember that the IEEPA was literally written to allow the president to respond to foreign economic threats. And China, Mexico, global manufacturing dependency on foreign economic threats. Also, something the media is very quiet about, oddly enough, is if the court rules against Trump, the federal government could theoretically owe refunds on tariffs already collected, meaning the U.S. would have to cut checks back to multinational corporations and foreign importers. In other words, a ruling against Trump in a $3 trillion bailout for global corporations. Not Americans, not workers, not families, foreign importers, and multinational manufacturers. So when Trump says the stakes are non-sustainable, he's right. This isn't just about trade policy, you guys. It's about economic sovereignty. So do we control our economy or does Beijing? Pretty good question. Do we set our own industrial priorities or does the World Trade Organization and Wall Street do it? Do we support American workers or do we outsource them again? Because the people suing Trump want to go back to the world where America imports, China manufactures, and the working class Americans get stuck with DoorDash jobs and rent that keeps rising. And Trump said no. Trump fought it, and he's still fighting it. And now the Supreme Court will decide whether America continues to fight and goes back to a client state of global trade cartel. It's the economic battle, man, of the 2020s. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff happening all around us that needs to get sorted out. And when you have a bunch of people, and this is the problem when you have, and this is why I wrote that book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. And I'm going to plug it again. This is why I wrote the book, was to expose this years in advance. This book right here on your screen. I wrote this book years in advance because it's always going to be timely. So long as you have an ideology in a mass scale in this country, it will destroy your country from the inside out. I fully believe that, which is why I wrote that book. You don't write a book that you don't really believe in. Do you know what I mean? That you're not interested in. That you took time to prove your case or make a case at least. It will destroy this country. It's destroyed other countries every single time it's been implemented. And some people are just too stupid to see it. And I'm not smarter than them. I'm just not as stupid. That's all. That's all. Nothing crazy. Nothing too much. Well, let's get to this really quickly. I want to make sure we do cover this because it's actually kind of funny. It's about Germany. And it does correlate to kind of what I was saying about Mamdani earlier, was how you basically have the fall of the West, Well, now you got Germany here because something is happening in Europe, man. And the American media doesn't really talk about it all that much. And we know why. Because it destroys one of the less favorite narratives. So Germany, mind you, the same Germany that lectured the world about compassion, openness, refugees, welcome, is now admitting the truth. I know. Oh boy, full circle on this one. You guys are going to love this. The German chancellor just announced that it's time to send Syrian migrants back. Not just the criminals, mind you. Not just the extremists. The majority of them. Why? Because the MERS now says, meaning the chancellor, the civil war in Syria is over. There are no longer grounds for asylum in Germany. Oh, shocker. So when an emergency ends, so does everything else surrounding it. Yes. Democrats just found that out the hard way in terms of COVID-19 and the Affordable Care Act. So in other words, the emergency is over. So the people who came because of the emergency need to go home. Yes. Basically. This is exactly what the conservative populist AfD party has been saying for over a decade, by the way. And for those 10 years, the German establishment tried to ban them. The media tried to smear them as Nazis. The banks even tried to debank them. Y'all remember that one? And the government tried to criminalize them. Why? Because AfD pointed out the obvious. And the obvious became impossible to ignore. And by the way, we can look at the numbers because the numbers tell a big story here. Over 1 million Syrians entered Germany during Merkel's open borders era. Fewer than 300,000 are employed. It's like 290,000. The rest are on benefits. I'm going to say this correctly because I think some people miss this because it's morning. Over 1 million Syrians entered into Germany. Less than 300,000 of that million are employed. The rest of them are on benefits funded by German taxpayers. Meanwhile, crime has completely exploded, by the way. In 2024, 42% of all crime suspects in Germany were foreign nationals. Nearly half. In a country where foreign nationals are only about 17% of the population. So less than 17% of the population is committing almost half the crime. At least crime suspects. So when you isolate violent crime, like the sexual assaults, the stabbings, armed robberies, the number is skewed even worse. So this isn't cultural enrichment, man. This is imported chaos. And it didn't happen because Syrians are inherently bad people. That's not the point here. The point is this. When you import huge numbers of young, unemployed, rootless men from cultures with radically different views on women, sexuality, religion, and law, and you dump them into Western cities with no assimilation, no work requirements, no enforcement, you get, instability, you get violence, you get Berlin, you get slogan, and Germany got all of it. It's so bad that former chancellor, who used to be Mr. Open Borders, had to admit last year, quote, such criminals should be deported. And if they come from Syria or Afghanistan, even if they come from Syria and Afghanistan, end quote. Why did he say that? Why would you do that? Because a Syrian migrant stabbed a police officer to death at an anti-jihad demonstration. That's why. Then, weeks later, another Syrian migrant went on a stabbing spree at a Christian musical festival, murdering 3 people and nearly killing 6 more. Now, you can only imagine how often that takes place, and you can only ignore reality for so long before reality decides that it's done being ignored. Now the chancellor says, quote, those in Germany who refuse to return can be deported, end quote. Translation, mood has changed. Why? Well, because of politics. That's why. The AfD is now leading, or neck and neck in national polling, I should say, meaning the ruling coalition is about to get wiped out. And suddenly, magically, the establishment discovers that maybe mass migration wasn't actually working. It's not compassion, it's self-preservation, man. And here's the part that should concern us in America. This is the future of every Western country that follows the same script. Open borders for emotional reasons, criminal increases, public anger grows, the establishment panics, deportations begin, too late, the damage is already done. And we are at step 3 in America right now. We are warning. We had warnings. We had evidence. And we had the example of Europe. And the Democrats ignored all of that. And this is why Trump's border policy matters. This is why deportations matter. And this is why sanctuary cities matter. Because if you do not control who enters your country, you no longer have a country. Germany learned the lesson the hard way. And Europe is now learning the lessons in every capital city. America has one chance to not repeat it. And we'll see if we pull our heads out of our you-know-what regarding it. But it's true. With that being said, that was a Tuesday episode, baby. Ooh, I'm sweating a little bit. You guys saw that. Ooh, armpits are a little sweaty. I do have deodorant on, so don't judge me. But with that being said, that is the end of today's episode. We will be back here today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for some Dark MAGA, where we cover breaking news headlines. We cover a little bit more of a long form commentary. Sometimes we look at on the street interviews, and we kind of just hang out as a community. It is for Rumble premium members only, or for those that subscribe to my channel over at Rumble. So make sure you check that out. We'd love for you to join us. It's a little bit more intimate, where we spend more time in the chat. We're looking at you. If I'm looking over here, it's because I'm reading the chat, or I'm looking at different headlines, or I'm doing all sorts of stuff, looking at my research, looking at my show notes. And if I'm looking over here, well, this is the monitor that you guys see, and everything is over there. So I hope you guys have a great Veterans Day. Pray for this country. Pray for our veterans. Pray for Donald Trump. And pray for peace on earth, man, because we need it. With that being said, I hope all of you spend a little bit of time within the scriptures today. And we have some people that recently had surgery here on the Bald Brad Show. So make sure that you pray for them as well. We got people in here that are sick. We have people's family members that are sick. People gone through surgeries. Power of prayer is effective. So I want to make sure that we encompass all those people in our hearts and our minds through our prayers. With that being said, folks, I'll see you a little bit later today here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.